Hi everyone, happy Sunday. So we are finishing up this picture in Moon Valley, and I along the way learn a little bit of a lesson in what happens when I color with pencils one way and then leave it alone for a few weeks, then come back and color pencils when I'm in a completely different mood. Color with pencils, I don't know what I just said. And there's a little bit of a difference between the front of the picture and the back of the picture. Yeah, so I guess that's something I need to take into account in the future. So the greenery down here, all the leaves and everything, my approach was to grab one of the sets of greens using Color with Claire's family color chart, and basically use those to create different blends and shades and just give it a variety of green down here. So what I was saying is that when I did the back half of this picture, I was feeling, I guess, a little more relaxed than usual. I wasn't putting as much pressure down on pencils as I usually do. And I also went with not such bright colors, given, except for the sunset. And I guess, like I said, I was a little bit more laid back about it. But then this part of the picture, I don't know, I've just been in a weird mood all weekend, and honestly, it is extremely frustrating. When you have like that precious time off from work and you actually don't have anything you need to do, and for some reason I'm just feeling blah and like nothing sounds exciting, right? But I did want to finish this picture. However, I was kind of tense yesterday morning. I was frustrated at that. I am not the biggest fan of coloring lots and lots of leaves, unless I'm like coloring them all one color or something, just because I feel like I have to do this variety thing, which takes longer. And so all that probably made me, that and not having one of my meds this weekend, has made me a little more tense than, well, I wouldn't say a little more tense than usual, but a little more tense than I need to be on a weekend like this. And so yesterday I was back to my heavy pressure, bright colors kind of look. And so when you look at the final picture, you'll see kind of the foreground's bright and really heavily pigmented, and the background's like the softer color. And so it looks okay. It's not my best work. I'm not thrilled with it, but it is definitely something I want to take into account in the future. If I'm more than likely, if I'm feeling like I'm in the mood I was in the first half of this picture, I probably need to pick something smaller that I can color in the course of a day. And because this is usually like how I color, is what we're going to see today. That's usually how I color with colored pencils. Maybe not quite this heavy pressure, but it's closer. But yeah, no, it was just, I don't know, nothing sounded fun yesterday. I really wanted to get this picture done. I wanted to be able to talk about the trip and everything. And that was a weird noise. And like I said, all those things you want to do to fill in your free time and try to relax a little bit before the week starts, and like it's just been nothing. I've just felt like doing nothing, and it's just, I feel like I'm in a bit of a coloring slump, to be honest, and I'm not sure why. In this case, my my therapist, her name is Rachel, would probably just say, well, go ahead and do stuff for, give yourself 10 minutes, 20 minutes. If you're miserable and you just hate doing it, then go do something else. And that's what I'm going to try today. Yesterday, I just was bored and scrolled around on TikTok for a while, tried to take a nap because I felt tired, but I couldn't sleep because it was thundering outside. And I don't know. I'm just in a weird mood this weekend. And it's not like a lot of my weekends have been, I can't get anything done because I'm simply just exhausted. And I'm tired. I mean, don't get me wrong, I think that's part of it, but it's not the. I still have a little bit of some extra energy bars from having some time off, so it's not like I'm completely exhausted either. So, but like, I've tried watching shows, I've tried watching videos on YouTube. Just it's really, I don't know. Even my favorite book series in the world, the Dungeon Crawler Carl series by Matt Dinniman. He just released a new book last Sunday. And like, I've been working my way through it, but not with the usual excitement that I usually do. And it's not the book itself. It's great writing as always. It's just, again, I'm just feeling meh. I don't know. Anyway, so I hope everyone else is having a decent weekend and hopefully not feeling this way. But yeah, I am in a bit of a coloring slump, and like, I think some of the way I'm gonna have to bust out of it is I'm just gonna have to start doing some straight coloring again. I'm overthinking things, and I'm overthinking like all these awesome pictures I want to color, and I want to add pencil and all these different things to it. And I think that's one of the reasons that I'm not wanting to color, because it's overwhelming. And so I just need to stop doing that and do some straight coloring for a while. I still have a buddy color to do, another buddy color to do with Tammy this month. Don't we have like, yeah. And so she's done hers. I need to get started on mine. Of course, I want to add a bunch of pencil and stuff to it, but man, I just don't know. I've got to really just sit down and do that page. So here I'm coming in with some of the other greens. I had just taken the dark green and just straight colored in a lot of the sections that would be in the background. Sorry, I thought, of course I didn't mention this. I'm using the Arctic's colored pencils, which did really well on this paper. I think this is the 120 something set. So, let's see. So I could talk about the trip a little bit. I am trying, not doing very well so far. I'm trying very hard to not make this, a really down kind of video. So the trip to Seattle was fun. Trip to Seattle, oh my gosh. The trip to Too Many Games in Philadelphia, that Seattle was May, Philadelphia was last month, was fun. My brother and I go every year to this convention up there. I think we said this is our 6th year. We were counting them up. And usually we fly, but last year was an absolute headache because our flight got canceled. Nashville's airport's weirdly small, and at least to all the places I want to go, they usually only have like 1 or 2 flights a day. So it was either wait and hope that you could get on the plane the next day or do something different. And so what we decided to do was fly to New York and then take Amtrak down to Philadelphia to pick up our rental car. And if you remember that from last year, which was kind of neat, we did eat, like, we did grab something quick to eat in New York last year while we were at the Amtrak station. It was neat to see that part of New York because we've traveled there before, but we hadn't actually been over in that area. And Amtrak was pretty cool, but it was just a really long day. And by the time we picked up the rental car, then there was a traffic jam in the city. It took us forever to get out of the city. Like, we didn't get back to our hotel room till midnight. Um, it was pretty rough. And so this year we're like, man, him and I are very similar when it comes to the airport. We want to be there super early. We end up trying, when we can, we use the valet parking so we don't have to, because a lot of times they're different lots are full. So we usually save up for that because it's right next to the entrance to the airport. Then there was one year where I had a problem because my name was my maiden name on the ticket instead of my married name, and it's just, it's very stressful. It's a ton of money, and you run the risk of having your flight canceled or missing your flight if something goes really wonky. And we're just kind of over it. Him and I both are after, I don't know, 7 trips together. And I mean, I've taken a couple more for work, but so we're like, he's like, do you want to try a drive this year? Plus some of his friends who have really never even been, I mean, they're from our small town and they just don't go out much. They don't go very far past, Nashville's probably the biggest place they go, and they don't feel comfortable on planes, which I get it because I don't think they've ever even been on one. He's like, they would be more likely to come if we drove, and I'm like, yeah, that'd be cool. Though I was dreading it because I used to commute when I was doing college courses at MTSU, and the ones I actually had to attend in person. There were days I was commuting for 3.5 hours. It was like a triangle from Nashville to Murfreesboro to my house, and it was awful. And that commute to Nashville really just turned me off any sort of long-term driving, just because it was so awful. So I figured this was not going to go well for me and that I wasn't going to like it, but I wanted to try it at least 1 year. And it was a pretty long trip. I think it was like 13 hours if we actually used the toll road in Pennsylvania, the turnpike. And then it ended up being closer to 15 if we didn't, because we kind of had to go up and over and down the other way. And the thing with the turnpike is really, I mean, the tolls for 1 or 2 days isn't the end of the world. The problem is they don't do cash, so it's like either an easy pass or you have to call ahead of time and set up your account like we had to do because we had a rental car, and it was just real, it was dumb. It was dumb. So it was more of a hassle than a cost per se. So I don't know what we'll do next year, but in regards to that. But the driving actually wasn't too bad. My brother and I split it up into like 4 to 6 hour shifts, and we had like an audiobook. We talked a lot, and it wasn't too bad. So the direction it took us was up to Kentucky near Lexington, and over to eastern Kentucky, we pretty much drove all the way across West Virginia, a big chunk of Maryland, and then, of course, in Pennsylvania. And the way up there, we took the toll road, which has some tunnels that have been built because of all the mountains and the hills in that area. That was it. We basically were going up through the Appalachia mountain region on the way up there, and almost all the way back. So I was surprised that was like the shortest route, but I figured it would originally it was supposed to take us up to Ohio and then take us across, but then it was like, no, don't do that, do this. And we're like, oh, okay. So it was a pretty drive. West Virginia's interstate is very it's like just a constant S curve through most of the state, where they did not want to, I guess, blast through anything. So it's very back and forth kind of interstate. But so we left my parents' house at like 5 or 6 o'clock, and we got there about 9 o'clock their time. There were no 10 o'clock their time. They were an hour ahead of us. Um, it was long, but like, and so maybe it was, yeah, maybe it was more like 12 or 13 hours. I can't quite remember, but it was long, but like not as long as the whole get on a plane, get on Amtrak, get on, try to get an Uber to get you across New York during rush hour traffic, have to wait to get a rental car and then deal. Like, it was not nearly as much of a hassle. And then, like I said, on the way back, we tried the non-tollway, which took us up through Delaware a little bit. So we got to see a lot of states we don't typically go to, which was cool. And didn't go through a lot of populated places. We stayed pretty clear of DC and most of the bigger cities, and it was mostly just interstate driving. And the way back was a lot longer because we did the no toll roads. But like I said, we'll have to talk next year. I think we're going to drive from here on out. It wasn't as bad as I thought. It was, pretty exhausting, but just the flexibility of already having our own vehicle, not having to go through. It was so much cheaper too. Like, I just cannot tell you. It probably would have cost 2 to 3 times what it cost, and we got like a big nice SUV just to make sure we had plenty of room. So I think that's what we're going to be doing from now on. His friends couldn't come this year. Hopefully they can next year. Usually it's just been me and him, but like his friends are big gamers as well, and I think it would be neat if they could come along one year too. So we'll see how next year goes. But no, we got up there Wednesday night. The convention starts on Friday. Usually we get there on Thursdays. So we had a little... Ooh. Sorry about that. We had a little extra time. And we spent some time Thursday going to the Valley Forge. I think it's the National Historic Park out there. Turns out the area we're in is Audubon Valley Forge, so it was like right there. It was like not even a 10-minute drive. And it was really cool. We stopped at a couple of the sites. We didn't worry about going to all of them because it's a place we could come back every year. Real quiet, different type of park than around here, because around here there's a lot more. We were in a flatter part of Pennsylvania, so like it was, most of the parks around here are very hilly, very like we're right along the Cumberland Ridge here in Tennessee, and there it was like the park was more just flat land and open spaces, so it was kind of neat to see something different. And then for the other end of the spectrum, we went to the King of Prussia Mall, which is, I believe, the 5th largest mall in the US. And let me tell you, I really thought, I was like, man, malls are kind of dying. This place probably isn't going to be super busy. That place was hopping. Like, I was really surprised. I guess because of where it's located, maybe it just gets so much more traffic. It's probably still not the traffic that they used to get, but I mean, in the grand scheme of things I've seen in regards to malls and how busy they are these days, like they were pretty busy compared to other ones I've seen. So some of the big stores, of course, were gone, like JCPenney and all them, but they had a lot of little specialty stores. One my brother and I went into that we couldn't resist was a Squishables store, which we had never seen. And they're very similar to like the Squishmallow things. And I had never had any. And of course, they had some really cute ones in there. So we each got a couple. We're usually not mall people. So, um, but got some ice cream. Just, we hit up maybe a quarter, not even a quarter of the mall. And we were like, yeah, this is enough again for this year. Because it was 2 levels. It was huge. So we're like, if we want to come back, we can come back next year. Then we went to pick up our tickets early, which was really nice. It saved us having to get there and have a long line to enter in on Friday, which is usually how we have to do it. So that was really nice. And then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday were the convention. We had, I'd say, maybe the same number of panels we typically do year to year. When we first went, we went to a lot of panels, and then it isn't that we don't particularly want to go to the panels. It's just we kind of realize we have to pick and choose, because usually, especially Saturday, there's so many people that like it's hard for us to get from one panel to the other in time to actually be able to make it into the room. So so like we were kind of we're kind of picky and choosy with our panels. And I know Friday, the main one we went to was the Metal Gear Solid panel, which had the voice actors, and of course I think their names. There's David Hayter, and then who does Solid Snake, David Cameron, maybe, or maybe I'm saying, or maybe Cameron something. Why can't I think of the other guys? I saw them all weekend. One does Liquid Snake, and then there's one other character, and I can't remember offhand. This is what happens when I wait a few weeks, but that was a really interesting panel. Weirdly, I liked the original Metal Gear Solid game when I was in high school, and like I spent all day playing that game. To almost beat it and not have a save card, and just had to stop. That's actually what my brother was playing all weekend, which was kind of fun. I haven't played any of the other ones, but that one in particular was one was I weirdly enjoyed in high school. It just wasn't my typical kind of game. And so then we checked out the marketplace and the arcade and stuff. And then Saturday there was a panel, like, should all games have an easy mode, which actually ended up being one of my favorite panels. Because I was like, of course they should, you know? And so it was interesting. Like, they didn't just sit up there and talk, like they actually had a discussion with the group. And my brother and I both participated, which was fun. And it was I used the phrase as an older gamer, and then I'm like, golly, why are you dating yourself? Stop that. Anyway, but that was fun. We also saw a panel that what was it? Oh, about game remakes. My brother liked that one. I didn't like that one as much. I didn't like the panelists as much. He seemed like there were a lot of games people were suggesting that it would be like if I did a panel. There were a lot of games people were suggesting that he had no idea what they were. And I was like, if you're going to talk about this kind of controversial subject, I feel like you should have a fairly good, at least know of some of these games. But then some call me Johnny, who is actually here on YouTube and on other platforms. He was the main one. My brother's been a big fan of his for years, and got me watching him too, because I like his videos a lot. And he was there again. I think that's close to where he lives, so he comes every year. And he had a real fun panel. His are always a lot of fun. And then Sunday we did another. I don't think I posted the last couple days in Instagram, and I meant to. But Sunday we did another voice panel with. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I should have been better prepared than this. Okay, hang on. Alright, now I got it. So Sunday was Mark Whitten, Kira Buckland, and Casey Bongillo. I think Casey's known. Are all three known for? No. Kira and Casey are known for like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I think Casey Evangelion. And then Mark Whitten, I believe that's who that was like Genshin Impact. Anyway, they had a lot of voice actors, which I think is what they did last year too. So, oh, and by the way, the Metal Gear Solid panel had Quentin Flynn and Cam Clark along with David Hayter. That's why I was like, okay, that's gonna bug me. I know most of y'all are probably like, I don't care, but it was gonna bug me if I didn't say. It's pretty crazy when it comes to voice acting in like games and anime and stuff. Like everybody's so intertwined. Like if you, I don't know of many myself personally, but then when I see like their lineup, I'm like, oh yeah, that person, that person. We actually, because I saw so much about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure this weekend or that weekend, and upon my brother's recommendation, we did start watching it, which was surprisingly my husband had never seen it. He sees more anime than I do, so we got started with it, and we like it so far. I think we started off right with like the first book or the first season, which is drastically different than I think some of the later seasons. So they all kind of have their own flavor and style, I think. So it will be interesting to see how things change as they go along. I think right now we're in the second part of what they're calling season 1 on Netflix, which they're in the 30s. Excuse me, I think it's 36, and they're in the World War II kind of era. So, but that's been a surprising thing. I wasn't sure if I'd like it or not. It is weird. It is called Bizarre Adventure, so I mean, it makes sense for sure. There was a guy in the very first. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe just at my core, I'm just exhausted. Like maybe that's just it, and that's why I'm having so much trouble, because I seem like I'm yawning a lot for somebody that really doesn't feel that sleepy. So maybe I am just exhausted. But oh, I just also see I had to go without my muscle relaxer this weekend, my baclofen, which made it really hard to sleep both nights. And then dumb me realized I had some in my medicine cabinet where they used to have me on a lower dose, and I could just take 2 of them to match up, because my pharmacy does. The pharmacy around here does not open on the weekends. Yes, I know that is stupid, but there's only 2 pharmacies in this town, and one of them does not take my insurance. And considering like I work for a big tech company, it's weird, and it's a main insurance. It's like Blue Cross Blue Shield. It's so weird. It's so weird. But like if I can't use them, I have to use the other one, and they don't open on the weekends at all, and they close Friday at 4. Yeah, just one of the many reasons I am getting awful tired of living in this town. But we definitely ain't moving anytime soon with the way interest rates look. I think I saw the other day the average interest rate now for a home is like 7.6% or something, like a 30-year fixed. I just was like, oh, hell no. Anyway, so yeah, we saw Kira Buckland and Casey and Mark Whitten on Sunday. My brother actually got some signatures, like he got Kira Buckland to sign something. I think his friend wanted a signature for a character. It might have been Quentin Flynn, for a specific sword. So they had a metal arts type booth where they had like replica swords from the games and stuff. And I mean, they're metal, but they're not like sharpened or anything. I mean, you could probably beat somebody to death. But I don't know if you're going to be doing much slicing unless you sharpen them yourself. But my brother got a couple replicas from that, and then for some of his friends, the ones that couldn't come, he got some stuff and actually got one of them signed, which was pretty cool. But I actually had my eye on a couple of them. I think they were from Genshin Impact, which my husband does play some. But I was like, swords. Where are we going to put swords in this house? You'd have to buy one of those little holders, and it's already getting pretty limited on wall space because every year I buy prints to take home, like pictures and posters and stuff, because I can't help it because there's some really talented artists. So I was like, we just don't have the room for these. It's just simply, I didn't know what to do with those. But that's also beneficial in that if there are awkward objects like that, we don't have to worry about trying to do luggage. Like usually we try to just do carry-on. We don't try to check bags, but having to worry about a lot more checked bags because of how much we get and stuff, we could just, you know, we had it already in the vehicle and stuff. So that was really nice. Yeah, I bought some washi tape, which if I can ever get a supply haul video done, I have so much to show y'all from the last few months. If I can ever get a supply haul video done, I'd like to show y'all some of the washi tape I got. I was so tickled some of them were selling washi tape. And I want to show y'all some of the stuff I got from there. Like when I do the supply haul, I'll probably have a section at the end that shows you some of the things I picked up at Too Many Games. So I started buying pens this year because I wanted something that was small and that I could collect and not, you know, because like I said, I'm running out of room on my walls and I can only buy so much art at this point, and I tell myself that every year, and yet I still buy it. But my brother was showing me how he has his pens up on the wall, and so I started collecting a bunch of pens, and of course y'all know the majority of the pens I got were cat related. They had a really cute one from the game Stray, which I just love. I played that last year. I rarely play games that are games to be finished and aren't open-ended world type games, but I played that game through, and that is very unusual. So here, I'm starting on the dragon. I decided he should be blue, and as you can see, the foreground is a lot more bright and vibrant. Like this is usually more the style of how I color in pencils rather than the softer color in the background. I like both, but I've got to learn with pencils. If I'm coloring in this kind of mode, then I, am probably okay with coloring a colored pencil picture over time, but if I'm in that softer, more relaxed mode, I probably need to get that picture done as quick as I can. Again, one of the reasons I don't use pencils as much, because my marker usage will always look the same no matter what mood I'm in or how I feel, but like pencils can vary. My pencil work can vary greatly just depending on how I feel. So sorry, hit the mic. But so I collected a bunch of pens this year. This was the year of plushies, so I got the cutest little squishables. I gotta show y'all. Actually ordered another one online. They didn't have it there, and I saw it and I couldn't resist. And they're both cats. Like one's a cat and one's a lion. And the other one I got was from Turtle, which is actually a shop you can just buy online, and they were I cleaned up over there this year. I just like their shirts and their designs, and then I went back over there and they had this little is almost like a mood cat plushie where one side's all rainbow and it's a little cat and the other side, you know, those popples they used to have back in the I love popples back in the 80s and early 90s, and this little cat where he flips inside out reminds me so much of popples, and I call him my mood cat because he's really purple and grumpy on one side and happy and rainbow on the other. And ever since I got home, he's been grumpy. So hopefully the other side will get a look here soon. But and then like I said, a lot of my shirts are getting holes in them. My husband swipes my t-shirts a lot because I'm bigger than my husband, so he can wear my shirts. I can't do it the other way around. Well, I could, but I probably wouldn't be able to get out of them. But so between us and the fact that I just wear t-shirts all the time, that's like my housewear. They're wearing a lot of holes, so I had to replenish with a few this year. I love the designs, but they just feel a little thin, and I'm kind of bummed about that. But man, it's hard to find the good t-shirts with a nice thick material that I was finding a few years ago. But yeah, no, I mean the marketplace was cool. There were a couple of people that weren't there this year that I typically see, so I was a little bummed. One of my favorite performers, his name's Professor Shy Guy. He wasn't there this year, but I think he recently moved. I'm not sure, south or to LA or somewhere, but he's going to be at Gen Con. So I'm like, and he's performing at Gen Con. I'm like, dude, you know, I've seen you for 5 years at this convention. That was actually what got me into music, was researching him before the very first year we went. And I was like, hey, you know, go get it, because Gen Con's a lot bigger. So and then this lady, it does all this cool, like she crochets little, I've collected her Star Trek. She has like, I have a little Picard, I have a little Riker. Do I have Will Wheaton? If I don't, I want him. Like, she would make different ones each year, and so I would get one each year and add it to my collection. But she wasn't there this year either, but I don't think she's had time to do conventions. So I hated that. But there were a lot of really cool new booths. I collected a ton of pins from people. That was the coolest thing, that I could be like, hey, I can buy a pin for a few dollars, even if, you know, there's nothing else. Like, and then of course I bought wall art because I can't resist it. But I'm going to share some pictures with y'all, probably in that supply haul. But we just chilled Sunday night and then came back on Monday, and I had 2 more days off, and then I had to go back to work, and let me tell you, I was not ready. The drive back was cool. I all in all, it was a good year. Like I said, I think we're gonna keep driving. I don't think it was the most memorable year was the year my brother won a Nintendo Switch because of his gaming ability. It's some luck there, let me tell you. But I wouldn't say, and like last year, as hard as it was definitely a memorable year. We call it our side quest year. I wouldn't say it was the most memorable one, and it wasn't bad. It wasn't, you know, fantastic. It was just kind of eh. But I think a lot of that was because I just had been so burnt out and so exhausted. And while I was gone, I was getting the news, you know, that Friday I got news from the vet about Bagheera and her thinking he has Cushing's. And so I've been extremely worried because both him and Leroy had been throwing up. And I had seriously been like, do I even need to go? And my husband's like, go, please go. It'll be fine. And they did fine while I was gone, but I was extremely worried about them. And So I guess I could segue into the cat health portion of this. So with Bagheera, I noted last week he had went in to get tested for Cushing's, um, which is where your adrenal glands are making too many steroids, natural steroids for your body. She did ultrasound on his adrenal glands. She didn't see any sign of a tumor, which is usually the main reason. His cortisol levels were just a little elevated, but not enough to where she felt like she needed, like, she's like, I'm not worried about his pituitary gland. She's like, I really don't think he has a tumor on that, just based on the cortisol results. But what she thinks is he has like an atypical Cushing situation. Either we caught it really early, or, which is possible, or he's producing more of the other type of steroids, which are like hormones and the type of steroids that kind of work with like the minerals in your body and things like that. She thinks his adrenal, one of his adrenal glands did look a little bigger, but she said a little bigger than usual, but she said if there had been tumors on them, it would have been very easy to find both, and it would have been obvious by their size. So she thinks he has a little bit of Cushing's. It's an uncommon case, which, you know, them being my cats, does that really surprise anybody? I told her, I'm like, well, at least y'all are learning a lot from my cats. And she's like, oh yeah, we are learning so much. So we started him on, weirdly enough, melatonin. They've done studies to find that melatonin in cats can help cut down on steroid production from the adrenal glands. And one of his issues was he wasn't sleeping very well. He wasn't resting very well. Probably because of all the steroids in his body. I mean, I've had steroid shots before, and I know, like, you want to talk about having a tough time, like, resting or relaxing if your body's full of them. So, the melatonin helps him rest. I've seen him actually sleeping, thank goodness. And she said now it'll take a couple weeks probably to work. So next Saturday we have a follow-up appointment. He had not lost any weight, which was huge. One of the biggest problems is he'd been throwing up so much and not wanting to eat as much. And but while I was gone and then I came back, like, he kept his weight on. And since I've been home, he's eating more frequently in smaller amounts, but it's still, based on the output, I'm not too concerned. He seems like he's eating a fair amount. But boy, that litter box is still an issue. So we did melatonin. She doesn't think his cortisol is high enough to do a, like, steroid blocker. I know there's a name for them, but I can't think of it offhand. She doesn't think he needs a steroid blocker. So we're trying the melatonin. We did an antibiotic, because she said his pancreas did look pretty rough, but with all the throwing up he's been doing, and all the sensitivity in his stomach, she's not surprised. She said, let's do an antibiotic, just be on the safe side, clear up any infections. So he was on, like, I think Clavamox up until yesterday. We were trying metronidazole again because that seemed to help the litter box issue a little bit. He's still on his insulin and thyroid meds twice a day, and he's got to do 6 milligrams of melatonin twice a day, which is actually 2 tablets. So it was a whole lot of medicine. Probably the most I've had to give a cat. Like, that's not, like, well, I take that back. I mean, a lot of them that were, you know, close to in life had a lot of meds, but, like, he's not, we're not concerned. He's not. The biggest concern with him right now, to me, that worries me, is he's had a lot of muscle mass loss because of this, and because of that, and he's a big kitty. Still, he's about almost 16 pounds, which he used to be like 23, so the dude has lost some weight over the years. But a lot of times he has to stop and lay down on the floor and rest. Like, you can tell he has some weakness in his muscles, probably from carrying all that weight around. And that was the thing. He's always been very muscular. He's a big cat, but like he's been a very sturdy cat up until this. And so this has caused some muscle wasting. And so it's hard for me to see him do that, because anytime I've ever had a cat do that, it's always for not good reasons. But I've had to become, it's just part of that. Like, he's not going to be able to get all that muscle loss back. So he's probably going to be like that for a while, and just not panic about it. He's not doing it any more than he didn't start doing that till I come back, and of course that scared me. But the vet didn't seem concerned. He is doing it either the same amount or less since we started him a week ago on the treatment. He finished his antibiotic yesterday. He did have these weird little like twitches that I was concerned about, like with his head, almost like a head bobbing like Oreo used to do. But even that's become less. So hopefully that's just related to the steroids. But he's eating and drinking pretty well. He seems like he's resting better. It's going to take a few more weeks, I know, to really know for sure if this is going to work. But like, one thing we've got to figure out is the litter box. Like, it is awful. It is so bad, y'all. I don't know if I'm sorry, it's Mike. I don't want to go into detail, but it's probably the worst I've ever seen from a cat. It's so gross. And a lot of that has probably been the pancreatitis and the fact that even the metronidazole can cause that. The steroids, like, he was having issues with that before that was a symptom that we took him in for. It could be the pancreatitis, it could be the steroids. He was on that harsh antibiotic for like 9 or 10 days. Like, there's all these things that have led up to it just getting worse and worse. And like, the metronidazole is just not helping anymore. In fact, the other night, I took him off that because I noticed he's just really irritated in his gastric system right now. And so I have to send them a note tomorrow. I'm guessing we're going to need to put him on a probiotic, something to help. He's probably had all the good bacteria stripped out and needs to have some of that put back. It's probably all the medicine too. Fortunately, he's off the antibiotic. I'm going to try to take him off the metronidazole. He has not been throwing up. I'd like to stop the Cerulean, but I don't know if I'm ready to do that yet. Yeah, so he's doing well. He's happy. He's resting. He's getting plenty of food and plenty of attention. A lot of it's going to hinge on whether the medicine works or not. In terms of long term, because I'm assuming even with natural steroids, overproduction of them can be hard on the kidneys, I bet. Like I said, there's a possibility we caught this early and that there is a tumor and we just don't know about it yet. The vet said he could have very well had his symptoms exacerbated and had them come on quicker than they would have, because so much has been going on around here and I've been traveling and he's been stressed out. So, but he's doing pretty good. He's hanging in there. And then I'm using the Stardust Jelly Roll pens here. I bought a new pack to see if maybe it was just the fact, because these I feel like don't have that super bright, vibrant effect to them. And so I was hoping that maybe it was just due to the age of my other pens. But I think they're kind of muted just regardless. Then Leroy started throwing up and having stomach issues. And the vet thinks it's his liver, that he's got probably an infection going on. So we had him on one type of antibiotic. Then the Saturday I came back with Bagheera last week. Leroy starts to sneeze. And it's obvious by the middle of the week he's got upper respiratory infection. So now he's on 2 different types of antibiotics, which haven't completely wrecked his litter box visits, but I'm actually quite surprised. But he hasn't been throwing up, and he is, after 3 or 4 days on the other antibiotic, really acting like himself again. So I'm really grateful for that. That poor guy has had it so hard. He thunderstorms scare him, fireworks scare him, me being gone stresses him out. So I've been gone twice in a month. They've been shooting off fireworks for weeks around here, and it's been nothing but thunderstorms. There for 4 or 5 days, it was just constant thunder. That poor guy, like, he's had a hard go of it lately, and it's out of stuff that's out of my control. And so he goes back in 2 or 3 weeks once we finish the second round of the other antibiotics. And I'm going to talk to them about that and just see, because he's on amitriptyline right now, but I'm almost wondering if he needs to be on something like Zoloft or something, because he's one of those, like, nervous. It's funny when you look at him, because he looks so, like, he's chunky and he looks very sturdy, but, like, inside I feel like it's all gum and matchsticks, because boy is just so, like, physically fragile. You wouldn't know it looking at him, but he's such a picky eater. It's just when he does get what he wants to eat, like, he scarfs it down. But, like, he's he's had at least one UTI. When I came back from Seattle, he had the upper respiratory infection. He's got that stomitis or whatever it's called in his gums that causes inflammation. His liver values have been elevated some, which causes some of the nausea, probably some of the pickiness, and he's got crystals in his bladder and he refuses to eat the prescription food. Like, there's one food he will eat, and I will feed him a can of that daily, but I can't feed him. If I try to feed him nothing but that, he won't eat it. So we try to. The other main cause of the crystal formation and the blockage is stress. And, well, you could tell lately he probably really has not been feeling well. And we've been trying. We've got some Feliway plugins. You know, we're going to try to, within my control, make things a little less stressful. But it's just been a rough go. Honestly. Greenery had really good results. Her kidney values are stable. She's either in renal insufficiency or in, like, not high level kidney disease, but her numbers are stable for an 18-year-old cat. She is also our little bird because she's so small and she eats like a bird. She is, I always worry about her, but she seems like she's doing really well. And Reap Cheat seems like he's doing pretty well. He does have issues with his ears. It's like a kid that gets tubes because they have so much drainage in their ears, but you can't put tubes in cats' ears. So he's got one ear that he runs. We try to keep clean. We try to keep cleaned out, but, like, there's a balance between doing that and having him actually want to be around us because he'll run and hide. So the other 2 are doing okay, but okay. Final picture. So here is the completed picture. Like I said, I see the difference where it's very bright and vibrant and in the foreground, and then the background's very not pastel-y, but soft, not as vibrant a color. Not how I planned this picture. It's kind of okay because really I want the focus on the dragon and the flowers, so the foreground being a little more of a pop and the background being more subtle. You know, I could just sit there and go, that's how I planned it, and, and hopefully nobody would ever know the difference, but I'm fully admitting here that I just was in two different moods and two different ways of coloring with this picture, and how it's very critical if I set out a certain way with a picture that I'm better off probably just waiting until I'm in that mindset again, even if it means I have to put it off. I'm not unhappy with the picture. I think it turned out really well. I do wish I had maybe made the flowers a little less bright, because feel like the dragon gets a little lost there, but that's okay. Like I said, this is like the second picture I've colored in a Maria Trolle book. It is, I know I have only done like one or two full pencil color pictures this year. If this is not the first one, so quite pleased with that. And so yeah, in talking about the other stuff, this feels a little shorter than normal, weirdly enough, but that's been pretty much it. You know, the trip was great. A lot of stress over Bagheera and then Leroy. They both seem to be doing well enough now, so there's that. Reluctantly returned to work, and last week was rough. There were a couple days where I was having a lot of trouble getting the information I need and getting anybody who's supposed to be support to help me understand these things. I'm on a reporting side of my project, and a lot of it I haven't had to do before, so I have a lot of questions, and our support team is extremely small right now and understaffed. And so if I could just get like an hour or two with a reporting expert on, I think it's called Marketo's, our email tool, like it would be just invaluable. Like I just can't even tell y'all. But I've been a little nervous about that, just because we're starting to get results in on that big project that launched the 1st of June. And it's where things we expected them to be, but like they should be we're gonna have to optimize to perform better. And so just dreading getting into that, but that's got to start up whether I'm ready or not. And just getting back into the work groove and just trying to find a balance. I'm struggling myself at work, because when I have a balanced day, I've been in this mode of nonstop for so long that I still feel like I'm slacking, even though I'm not. So just having a lot of trouble with that. But no, I mean, I went and did a big grocery pickup at Walmart yesterday. Oh, I was actually going to show you guys. So I think I posted on the community page, but you guys know that one of the big things I want to do this month is use my bullet journals more. So I always show you guys my coloring one at the start of the month, and so wanted to show you a couple pictures here. Hopefully they're coming up, of where I've actually kept up with my coloring journal this week, and kept up with dotting which days I do videos, which days I color. And I also am showing you guys, hopefully the points system is actually going really well. I'm up to 180 points. I am counting pre-orders this month, just because I'm collecting points so easily this month that I feel like I should just roll those in. But I'm at 180 points right now. 25 points gets me a book. So far I have 4, might be 5. I might have ordered another one. I did. So there's 5 so far, which is 125. So I still have plenty of points to play with. So my point system's actually going really well. And then now I'm going to show you the other bullet journal I have, which is more of a personal, like, habit tracker and things like that. I did show y'all a screenshot of this one on the community page. I have been keeping up with that this week. Just showing y'all the one page for now, but I'll probably share that with y'all at the end of the month. But I have a productivity tracker spread that I thought was interesting, and it involves doodling, and I just do not doodle very well, so it's a combination of little icons and writing. Hopefully I can find some stickers that work out. But like, I have gotten on our elliptical for just 10 minutes, no longer. Don't want to hurt myself. I have to start very slowly when I do things like this because of the fibro. I've been on it for 10 minutes twice this week. We did our big grocery pickup, which will last us months because that's how we usually shop, is for months at a time. Um, what else have I done? Like, I've actually been keeping up with ordering food and stuff a lot. The problem is, I've been doing a lot of planning. I've been doing a lot of planning and coloring planning, but not any actual coloring. That's the problem. I'm like, I'm being productive, but I'm still having problems relaxing. Um, that's where I'm starting to have problems now, and that's going to be a problem. Problem. That's going to be a problem in a couple weeks because I'm going to keep being productive and then I'm going to burn out and I'm going to be like, I don't want to do anything when work really starts to get hard. So we'll have to see how it goes, but at the end of the month, I'll probably share both spreads with y'all on the monthly basis. I don't know if I'll make it my own video or just tack it on at the end of completed pages. Y'all know I'm kind of lazy like that. So I hope you guys have enjoyed watching this. Like I said, it's very unusual for me to do a full pencil picture. So I thought you guys, this is a great example because it shows you different ways I can color and different ways I do color. It shows you what happens when I leave a picture for a period of time, and one of the reasons I don't use pencils as much. So, but I think it turned out really nice, and I can't wait to see Tammy's version of it. I hope you guys have a good rest of the weekend. I'll actually be back Tuesday. Will it be Tuesday or will I wait till Friday? Okay, I'll either be back Tuesday or I'll wait till Friday. I have 2 new book releases coming in this week, so as part of my points list. So anyway, thanks guys for watching, and bye for now.